It's actually a very interesting story because I had no idea what field marketing was. But when I started my career, I wanted to do it all: email marketing, events, social media, digital marketing, you name it. I just wanted to be part of everything until one day someone told me, pick one thing in marketing and get really good at it. And it was a good advice for me at the time, but it just didn't sit right with me because I was struggling to find that one thing. And so back then I decided to be a generalist. And it felt really exciting at first, but then eventually it just felt like I was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And don't get me wrong, I think being a generalist helps you understand the full picture and not just one channel, which is great. But that's when I accidentally stumbled into field marketing because I applied for a digital marketing position and I ended up being hired for a field marketing position because the hiring manager saw something in me that I didn't see myself. And that's when I learned that, field marketing is such a special role that can be so impactful because it's a role in which you have to connect the dots between all of the marketing channels and really become a mini CMO of your region, and I love that. Especially in B2B SaaS and tech. And for the past 8 years or so, I've led few programs across North America, EMEA, because it's the only channel that can move the sales relationship from transactional to human, right? How many times have you heard events don't convert or, oh, events are hard to measure? But think about it, especially now in an AI world that we are living today. Yes, I do trust events to close more deals more than ever, and why? Because in the next few years, I think AI will be everywhere, as we all know. So it's going to be so much so that people just won't know what's real anymore. And then when people can trust what they see online, they'll start craving what they can actually trust, which is what? Human interactions, events, in-person experiences. And so I do think that the more that we automate, the more we're going to crave what's real. So in my opinion, humans will look for what AI cannot do: shake a hand, read the room, have conversations in real life. And so events have always been a really good channel in marketing, but I think smart companies will pretty soon start to go back to the most basic form of marketing again, which is in-person experiences. Now, what most people get wrong is that they do confuse field marketing events with just sponsoring 10 big, bold, flashy conferences per year. Your job as a field marketer is to work closely with sales and partners to help close more deals, period. And I'm not saying that conferences don't work. I think that they should still have their place in the overall marketing mix, but I think that you should use them, those third-party events more selectively, more so for visibility and thought leadership, or even for top of the funnel brand awareness. But then you prioritize those smaller targeted events, field events, more so bottom of the funnel type of events that really foster that trust with your high value accounts, because then you control the narrative, the attendance, the follow-up, and so on. I think when you do that kind of event, then you control the narrative, you control the attendance, you control the follow-up. But I think also you have to also have really good relationships with sales, because it doesn't take only the field marketer to throw a really good event. It actually takes a village. And I love that question. And honestly, I could go on and on this because I don't know how many times in my career I heard, we scanned so many badges in that booth, that trade show was good, or we generated X amount of leads, with that field event. So I know we worked. And to me, these are all vanity metrics, the amount of leads that generated from an event or how busy my booth looked. I think they are only going to masquerade the real impact of my event. Because let's be real, those leads, most of them are not going to be ready. Most of them are not going to be relevant. And a lot of them are not even going to remember your brand when the event's over. So yes, leads do matter, but they're just a small piece of the pie. Field events should be deal accelerators. They build trust. They shorten sales cycles. They make every other future touch point work better. And a busy event doesn't mean you're bringing qualified leads home. And field marketing can a lot of times be misunderstood as just an execution role where you only worried about your booth or the swag or the badge scans, when in actuality, it should at least be a very strategic role, because The difference between someone who's just organizing an event and a field marketer is that the field marketer is always going to be thinking about how that event's going to close deals. And the math is very simple. Would you rather bring 100 leads that turn into absolutely nothing or close one deal because your event, put your sales rep in front of the right prospect at the right time? So to me, field marketing is great, but if done wrong, you're going to end up with a spreadsheet full of contacts, but no meetings, no deals, no pipeline. And then when that happens, you're left with nothing but just a very expensive CSV file. Again, I do think that it's not just the field marketer's job to create that narrative. I think it englobes everyone in the marketing team, because as a field marketer, you're not only doing events, you're doing everything else. You, like I said in the beginning, connecting the dots, between all channels. So not necessarily just doing that one in-person event, but you might be doing a webinar for, your top 10 accounts that you really need to close. So I think having the buy-in from all of your committee is definitely helpful. That's a great question. Sales and marketing seem to always have that battle, right? Marketing complains that sales not following up, and then sales complain that marketing is bringing crappy leads. But there is a way to avoid that. And to me, is marketing being proactive and finding alignment with sales. So really understanding what their goals are, which accounts they're trying to go after, what do they need to close a deal? When they receive a lead in Salesforce, what happens next? Do they convert a lead and then they open an opportunity? Knowing that path will help you understand their day-to-day work. So when you actually hand off that lead to your sales team, you're also giving them a post-event game plan with clear and actionable next steps, because how they follow up on those leads is actually what's going to dictate if your event was successful or not. I think you also need to show the value to them, right? Because if they trust you to do the work, they trust that they're going to get to their event and all they're going to have to do is be there to sell. They know the value. They know you're going to bring leads that will actually turn into business. And that's how you actually build the momentum with them so that they can trust you, and then you can show them the value so that you can also trust them. Yeah, so normally my mindset when thinking about event metrics is don't overthink and don't get too overcomplicated here, because when you have too many metrics to track, that's when you end up tracking nothing. So I like to focus on what's actually moving the needle. I look at the full funnel metrics to get a full picture of the event performance. So lead to MQL, MQL to meeting booked to opportunity, and then of course opportunity to close won or close loss, because that last one's going to be very, very telling for you. You may have brought in the right lead that moved through the funnel as expected, but it didn't close because of a product fit issue or because they chose a competitor. Or maybe you brought in the right lead and he got stuck because of a lack of follow-up from sales. Then you have a sales problem. But these are things that you in marketing cannot control. So that's how you're going to actually build your narrative when you are reporting your event's performance. But bottom line for me, what tells me if my event performed well is always going to be pipeline metrics. How many meetings were booked because of the event? Did we generate new opportunities from those conversations? Did sales accelerate deals that they were already working hard on after the event? How much pipeline was influenced because of the event? Because that is what's actually going to tell me if the event is moving the business forward or not.
Nice.
To the field marketing community.
Yep.
I would say is learn as much as you can. Do not stop learning, because this industry evolves so much, changes so much every single day, that what you learned 1-2 years ago is probably not even effective anymore. So do not stop learning. Be curious, be out there, put your name out there, and discuss with other people that are already in the area, in the industry, so that you learn something new every day.